Black Clover! Yeah!
Yeah,
3, 2, 1.
welcome to Lobster Magnets, the review, welcome to Lobster Magnet and Friends. I'm here with my buddy, Goro Gregoro.
Yes, I'm here.
And I'm very sad because I thought we had an awesome alternative to Skype. Then I learned, like all good things in life, you need to spend more money for it, which is so sad, so disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't know, I might investigate it later because there was some cool stuff in there. Okay, so what did you think of was it 5 or 6 of Black Clover?
I think it's episode 6.
What did you think of episode? I feel like this is like the closest we've ever gotten to like a good episode of Black Clover.
Yeah, it actually felt like a solid anime episode.
Do you hear like I feel like I hear like
a fan?
Yeah.
There we go. Turn it off.
All right, there we go. So yeah, this felt like the closest the show's been to like being decent.
Yeah. There's some, random, nice, quirky characters that showed up, and it made things a little bit more lively and interesting. And
So-
Asta being accepted into the group, the matter of speaking.
So what do you think of this episode? Did this sell you on Black Clover since this is the best episode, or does it still feel like generic shonen-ness?
Well, it gave me a better impression of what Black Clover could be. It could have been if it didn't start off with fillers.
Yeah, oh yeah, it started off in the worst thing, and like, oh God, I don't know what the deal with like the quirky guy's like, I love my sister, and he's got a nosebleed. That's just so.
That's pretty creepy. Actually.
It's so creepy, especially since Japan is like this growing subgenre of like, I think it's called imamoto, which is basically like people who are obsessed with their little sisters or like want to screw their little sisters.
It's really fucked up. This is like, and nosebleeds, like when you see that in anime, it usually means that the character is like really attracted to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like
the character.
They didn't establish that he's like sick or well. I thought it was really confusing because I thought the little sister was like the little girl who eats a lot, but then he shows a picture and it's like, well, why does he keep on talking about his little sister when his little sister isn't there?
Yeah. Well, you should have caught up on that because he was like, "Can I go meet my little sister now?" Because he couldn't wait any longer.
I guess, but well, I thought he was gonna like walk over and like feed her food. That would make sense to me. That the little sister was like the little girl.
That doesn't make any sense. Why? It doesn't make any sense. Otherwise he'd be all over her while she was eating.
I don't know. I thought he was kind of. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't great. It's not like the best, trait I'd want to give a character.
No. It's actually pretty messed up, actually.
Yeah, I would want to avoid that as much as possible. You sure you turned off your fan? I swear I hear like some sort of.
I had the heat on too.
Oh, there. Now we sound great. Hopefully you won't freeze to death there. But you shouldn't. You're in a nice, warm apartment. So anyway, back to the Black Clover. We get to meet the Black Bulls. There's the sexy girl who's like, quirk is that she's drunk. I think there's a character in Fairy Tales very much like her, walks around in like lingerie and like drinks all the time. There's the big guy who's just big and shoots things. There's like 3 characters who all look the same. They had like the same hairstyle. There's like the I want to fight kid. Then there's like the guy who comes in with him, and then there's like another one who kind of looks similar.
You mean the guy who's obsessed with his sister too?
No, well, yeah, I guess he kind of looked a little bit like it. There was like 3 characters who all like the same hairstyle, just different colorations.
Well, the blonde one, like the younger one, I think, is a little bit more distinct because he's like energetic and he wants to fight. Well, the other 2 are kind of like, I don't know. Well, the one that they walked in with, seems pretty generic. Like, I don't know, but you can still like get a sense like these are some of these characters stand out a little bit. Like delinquent dude,
Yeah, delinquent dude like felt like the most.
lingerie girl.
He's the one who stood out the most to me as like kind of unique and attitudey and fun, and he wasn't an especially original character,
No,
but
he's
he
basically U917,
well, no, he's a little bit more edgier than the U19 guy,
U19.
but he's like he basically I'd compare him to like he's like the Renji.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
He's
He
the
was
kind
like
of edgy character. He's
Renji
really
from Bleach.
rambunctious. Yeah, exactly. He's got like, oh my god, this guy's so like edgy and dangerous. He has fire. He's got like stitches on his. Everyone keeps on calling him a delinquent. Um, I mean, I think this was definitely significantly better than what we've seen before, but it still like feels very kind of generic.
Um, yeah, but it's like at least it feels like we're progressing in the story a bit. We're
Yeah,
progressing.
it did feel like it definitely felt like we got the 2 minute recap. We got it felt like the introduction of like the when they go to the Black Bulls base and it's like, oh, here's all the people. Oh my god, it's so chaotic and quirky that like that was like a minute or two too long, where like everyone would just repeat their character trait again. I'm gonna get you for eating my pudding. Ha ha ha! I like
It,
to fight.
it was
Oh
a.
my god.
I mean, to be honest, like seeing them for the first time, it was a little bit like overwhelming. So I think I needed to have like a little bit more to like soak in like their characters a bit. So I didn't mind that much that they
Really,
repeated.
even though they only have like one character trait and they just kind of repeat it again and again because that's all you got to work with.
Yeah, even so, I'm just kind of like, okay, it was a lot of information to take in at once, like on the first get go, because it's like there's all these explosions happening. This girl looked like she was drunk on the couch, like she just woke up, had sex with someone, and like was hungover or something. And
That's the idea. She's like the fantasy girl, where it's like, oh, you're supposed to vicariously live through her. The sexy older sister. It's like, oh my god, my guy's like, she likes our guy, so maybe she'd like me. Ooh, I'm gonna draw fan art of her.
yeah, and like, this is like someone eating a bunch of stuff, and then the guy who's talking about his sister for some weird reason, like these two characters fighting for some reason you don't know why.
Well, like it's interesting that you think that was a lot of information to process. To me, it just seemed like oh my god, these are the weird rejects, and it was just sort of like hammering that point across. That like, oh my god, let's see how like weird our team of people is and what all their little quirks are,
Yeah, it's just
and hammer in those like one-dimensional traits again and again.
I wasn't prepared for. Yeah, but it's like I wasn't prepared at all for meeting all those characters all at once like that. So it's a lot of information to process, for the first time. I needed a little bit of
So, well, here's a big question: the initiation thing. How do you think that compared to like other initiation little tasks that we've seen in other manga, where basically Asta has to like hit the fire, and then we get like the Shonen narrator, the One Piece narrator,
yeah.
to explain to us the incredible complex that while his mind deadened, his body reacted, and this incredible thing is like, oh my god, he uses his sword like a bat to whack it away.
uh it was an interesting choice. I actually didn't hate it that much, but I'm curious to see if they actually do that later on in the series, like with the
Well,
narrator.
here's like the two things I think about it. Like I think like as a task, it was kind of like boring, like compared to like Deku learning to use all for one in his finger to like so he could like throw the ball. I mean, it's
Uh,
basically like comparable to that.
yeah,
But the one thing where I think the future of the series holds in and being interesting is I like the idea that like everyone else has like magical superpowers, but Asta is basically assumingly just like an average human, only he's got this giant sword. So hypothetically, him being hit by fire is bad. So
uh,
that adds like an element of stakes and danger that could be interesting. I don't know if it actually follows through with that. The fact that like because he has no magical power, it's like in Hunter x Hunter where they talked about how like if you don't have Nen and you fight someone with Nen, you're gonna get fucked up and it's gonna be
oh,
awful and they're gonna like brutalize your body. unless you have none of your own.
Yeah. So, yeah, there were some interesting things about like the properties of Asa's sword that they were talking about in this episode. Like, it could cut through magic and it can repel magic. And I thought, you know, just the little factoids about that was like mildly interesting so far. But the rest of the universe isn't as interesting yet.
No, it's not. It isn't. It's as boilerplate as you can get.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even like do a good job of like using the sort of generic things to its favor. Like, oh, these are designs we like. Oh, here's the tough guy commander. You like tough guys. This guy's so you should like him. And here's sexy Von Sexington.
I guess like what I mean by like the rest of the universe isn't as interesting is like magic itself doesn't feel as fleshed out. I think the characters could potentially get more interesting, but like right now they got a little bit of a boost with some of these new quirky characters. You could see some potential there, but yeah, I think magic needs to be fleshed out better.
As opposed to like, I'm just going to shoot fireballs. It doesn't feel like there are any rules or restrictions. It just feels like the most generic form of magic where just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Which is definitely like something that, hurts the series overall and makes it like not feel as distinctive. I mean, I do think the one like saving grace is I like the angle that like, Asta has this sword, but he himself is still extremely vulnerable. So it's like, oh my God, I have this incredible cool thing that can like do, nullify magic, but I'm still fucked if I get hit by a fireball or drowned in water or crushed by a giant rock monster, even though the sword is useless unless I develop the strength to cut through stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's actually, he could just wind up into like a generic shonen superhero like Luffy who just has like super strength.
I mean, they kind of set him up for that right now anyway.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's a lot of comparisons to like Guts from Berserk too. It's like when some of the other delinquent characters from the Black Bulls were commenting on Asa's sword, they're like, "Oh, it's so big." I just get like flashbacks from like Guts and Berserk and like all the phallic like references to the sword.
Well, it's very much supposed to be like, this is a really cool anime sword. This is an anime sword, manga sword that you love. It's like really cool. You want to cosplay it. It's really big. It's got a unique design. Which, is like, of course, like pertains to Berserk and also Bleach to a certain degree. Although Bleach, I think, did it the best. Like the old Bakuman rule. Like, you want to hit shonen battle manga, then swords are the way you go.
Yeah.
And this is like having your cake and eat it too. It's a universe with magic, but our main character differentiates himself because he's the giant sword guy.
Well, you don't think Berserk did it better than Bleach?
That's a hard question because Berserk's trying to do like
Something different. It's not shonen necessarily.
Yeah, it's technically a seinen series, so it's not about like Guts upgrading his sword. His sword is like this huge hulking thing that he just, but it becomes a part of him because it like gets battle damaged and dinged, but because the sword like literally murders so many spectral beings, it becomes magical in and of itself, which I love.
Yeah,
versus Bleach, where it's awesome. Like the idea of the Bleach fantasy is that like you've got this sword that has cool magical powers, and then like that sword gets even more magical powers because it releases to a second level. And what also makes the Bleach sword specials is that each one is like tailored to the personality of the user, and assumingly its powers.
Oh, and there's like some kind
form.
Of Zanpakuto sword.
Exactly, sword spirit. Like the smartest thing Kubo did was like not show off too many of them, like because it makes you intrigued and wonder what they are. Because initially in the show you only see like Ichigos and Renjis.
Yeah.
And then like the worst thing, like supposedly Kubo did all the character designs for like all the Zanpakutos, but then they had like a whole filler arc where they like hung out with their users, and it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't see all that. I didn't watch a lot of Bleach fillers. I just kind of like skipped it, but
I think I
uh,
skimmed through it occasionally because I was interested to see like what the designs were for each person. But like the more they were there, the worse it became. Like the smartest thing that Kubo did was like to not reveal them because like that was like one of the Bleach's signature moments where like there's this mysterious guy and then you realize, oh my god, that's what Ichigo's sword looks like.
yeah.
That
And
was like that was a great moment. That was like a one of the things that catapulted Bleach to the heights it was able to achieve in its short time on during its Lifeblood run.
and it's cool, like in their minds, like they can have conversations with their sword personas, and
Yeah, and it's a fantasy that like you want to inhabit. It's like, what would my Zanpakuto be like? Would I talk to like Captain Crunch? Is he my Zanpakuto?
you just hear like a bunch of screeching all the time. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like, give me 2 seconds.
lobster!
Give me 2 seconds.
Oh my god. I hope you edit. I hope you edit this part.
So, like, the fantasy of Bleach is that, like, this is my Zanpakuto. This is Crunch of Captain. This is my Zanpakuto. This is the inner essence of my soul. When you come out of the super sword, which is kind of greenish, this is what is inside. This is the communal animal avatar of my spirit. This is how I defend myself and protect what is important to me. But beyond that, there is a greater level of Bankai or Bird Kai of Captain Crunch level 2. And there's like, I don't know, like a bunch of parrots that come out and there's like a billion of him and it's like super powerful. Or maybe it's a giant parrot. But anyway, that's like a great fantasy that like anyone can apply. This is my Bankai. This is my inner soul spirit that communes with me. And in his case, poops on me a lot.
Oh my god. Okay.
So,
Yes, that's a perfect visual analogy of what we're talking about.
yeah. And that's why the Bleach Zanpakuto thing and like Bankai became a thing, and it was perfect. But the question is like, are we going to see something with that with Black Clover? Because that's kind of difficult. Because as far as we know, he's the only sword person.
Yeah. Maybe it'd be like something with the grimoires.
Maybe the grimoire could be closer, like because each one is their own individual purpose. Like when you die, does someone else get your grimoire? How do the grimoires work? Is there like a grimoire spirit you can talk to? Yeah, the grimoires is probably the closest thing, but as of right now, it's like the least developed thing that we know nothing about.
Yeah. Well, let's think about like what episode would this be if there was no filler? Would this be like episode
Three.
three?
I think so. Three. The first episode should have been the entire fight scene. The second episode should have been the entire magical exams, and then this should have been the third episode.
Yeah. God, they really needed to speed up this series. Like this is like this, this started to get more interesting. And I think this had made a fine third episode. We didn't need all that filler bullshit in the beginning.
God, I'm almost curious to like just as an editing project to like download the Black Clover and see if I can make it tolerable by like eliminating all the shitty pacing.
I think it's possible actually with the material that they have so far.
Yeah, because like I think you could like out of the 6 episodes we have, there's like maybe a good 3.
Yeah, this is kind of hilarious when you think about it like that.
Yeah, this should have been the third episode, and maybe then we'd have a better-ish opinion of the series. Like, I still don't think it's great, but like, I don't think we feel as like negative as we hate it as much as we do now. Although, so let's get to the scores. What do you think? What would you rate this one?
I give it a 7 right now.
Really?
Yeah.
You're very generous. I think this is the best we've seen, but I still think it's only a 6.
Yeah, I think the addition to all these quirky characters improved it a bit. and the trial thing with Asta and then hitting it like a baseball with the sword was kind of fun. So yeah,
Yeah, the new characters definitely help a lot to like give it a better identity than just like generic villager and Sister Marie and like which is like the most basic. Like these characters, they're not inspired, but they feel like there's more creativity to them than like generic filler guy who wants to poison him with a lizard.
yeah, exactly. Didn't need the lizard poisoning guy.
Yeah, it was always interesting, like comparing like the filler character design to like Kishimoto's designs, and how like Kishimoto's designs always felt like more distinct, and you could always instantly tell because like the filler character designs always had like really bland costumes and really bland color schemes, and just like felt like someone vomited mediocre on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Uh. That's true. Like every time you like jump into filler, like like right off the bat, like man, this is definitely filler. Just by looking at the character designs, like just look at the Stupid Brothers arc.
Yeah, yeah, they're dumb. They're really dumb. Or there's so many terrible character fillers. God, I wonder if anyone could ever make a video top 10 Naruto filler arcs.
Actually, I think there is something like that on YouTube.
I'm sure someone's done that.
This is like some stupid top 10 thing. They got a top 10 for almost everything.
Yeah.
Actually,
right.
top 10 for like best One Piece fillers too. I think.
Well, there's a great video where someone talks about like the one filler that nobody hates, and they talk about it like One Piece filler that wasn't awful, and it was actually a pretty good video. It sold me on it. It was like the G8 arc that people don't hate as much.
Maybe it'd be worth watching that at some point. I never watched that.
If we watch that, then you and me are watching the Baruto thing that I keep on trying to like get you to watch it. I'll watch that with you if you watch the one Baruto thing that I think is worth watching.
We'll see.
You son of a bitch! This is the closest it'll ever be to be going. It is my seal of approval, of quasi approval.
All right. Well, I got a few things to do today.
Yeah. Well, we won't do it today, but unless you're like really bored and you don't have other shit to do. But anyway, all right, let's wrap this up. 6 for me, 7 for you. You're feeling a little bit more optimistic about Black Clover because like you like the new characters and you think they're interesting. I think it's better than before. I still think none of the characters are great in the the series weaknesses sort of drag down material that's not. And if it was like super brisk and like that would make it a little bit better than just like, oh, my sister. Oh, where's my sister? Oh, I love my sister. And the stupid nosebleed.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Our opinion is starting to improve ever so slightly. So let's see if Black Clover, manages to kick it up next week and not be horrible.
It seems your Zanpakuto agrees in the background.
Yes. My inner soul. My inner soul. God, I just want to do that every video. Just like have him around. This is my Zanpakuto, hidden Paraton.
That sounds more like an Arrancar power, if you ask me.
The Arrancar powers were so stupid. Nobody liked that. The resurrection, like, that made no sense. Let me just go on a quick rant. Like, people love the Zanpakuto because, like, your inner soul, and it's a magical sword that gives you superpowers. But what is the Arrancar? So the Arancars get more powerful by becoming quasi-Shinigami and sealing their monster forms into swords, but then they get their powers back and become their monster forms again.
Yeah, kind of makes no sense.
So, if that's when they're their most powerful, what made them more powerful to become Arancars when they put their monster forms in swords?
I don't know.
Logic. You don't know. Nobody knows. They were all dumb. Nobody likes like cosplaying as the Arankar or says like Resurrection.
Yeah.
None of that imagery ever really took off. The only thing I liked is that like I like the idea that like the more powerful ones had like less masks and they were also like more human.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look up the Espada, like the higher level ones had less and less mask fragments on them, and they were like more and more human and more rational. That was an interesting design element. All right, but I think that's enough talking about Black Clover. Thank you for hearing our thoughts. Give us likes, comments, subscriptions, all that good stuff. And remember, lobsters and tennis, but don't you grab it.
Mm-hmm.